I am joined now by Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Senator, it's good to see you, sort of, hear you. How are you?
Great to hear from you, Liz. How are you doing?
I am well, thanks. So this speech, obviously you traveled with the president on Air Force One, and then you were with him at GE today. He struck a pretty interesting tone. He really is sort of hitting the reset button on his economic agenda. He is moving from a bailout position to a position of boosting the economy. Are we going to see more of this going forward from both the president and the Democrats as we move towards the 2012 election cycle?
I think that's the case. You know, everyone is now focused 100% on how do we create jobs? How do we get this economy moving again? 10% unemployment is too high. And what today's speech was about for me was really his vision of how he's going to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of America. How is he going to create an innovation agenda that drives capital towards growing industries like high-tech and biotech and energy technology. And being at GE was just a perfect example because they're at the forefront of wind and solar and battery technology that really is not only part of our national security agenda, but our economic security agenda. And when he referred to China, he was talking about we want to export to their markets. And
right.
That is the vision for a growing economy.
You know, it's interesting, though, he spoke about that point. He spoke about the need to have things that are made, high-tech stuff, as he said, that is made in America, sold overseas. But when you talk about trade agreements, sometimes you get into a little bit of a sticky position when it comes to organized labor. Do you foresee going forward that that could be a problem? Because, again, you know, you need to have, looking from a political standpoint, you need to really energize the base. The base tends to be unions and people who trend on the more liberal side. Do you think that that could be a problem going forward?
Well, we can always have fair trade, and that's what the president's going to fight for. That's what I'm going to fight for, to make sure there's that balance when we're demanding, if you get access to our markets, we want you to pay a fair wage. We want you to have a level playing field. We want you to make sure you're not creating environmental hazard. And so those are things we can really press upon countries that we are engaging in trade agreements with, and I think combining that with strong enforcement is something that our unions can get behind.
What did you make of the announcement of GE's Jeff Immelt to head this new council? It's an interesting choice. Again, Jeff Immelt is a Republican, and this is a sort of a pragmatic approach, but also, again, a more aggressive approach towards focusing on, as you say, creating jobs and not necessarily stopping the leak. It was at one point about stopping the economy from going under and into a depression. Now it's about, in the next 2 years, he said, we are going to focus aggressively on creating jobs. Do you think Jeff Immelt is up to the task?
I think he is. And what he's trying to do, I think the president, by creating this council, is getting great minds together to create an agenda to actually implement laws that will create a growing economy. And taking someone who's literally paid, you know, done payroll, who's created jobs, who's, you know, used innovation and entrepreneurialism to create those jobs is a great person and a great message that this is about America's power. This is about America's ability to be creative and to innovate and to create the growing industries of the future. And I think it's a great message.
Well, I was actually struck by that moment when Jeff Immelt introduced the president. He said, even though 60% of GE's operations of business is outside the U.S., again, highlighting this issue that so much of what is happening is actually lopsided, that America is not benefiting as much as it might be able to when it comes to foreign investment and selling products overseas.
Right, and our goal is to bring some of that manufacturing back to the U.S. because some of these industries really require a very sophisticated workforce, a workforce that is well-trained to understand how to build these products that require that high level of training. And those are the manufacturing jobs that we want because they're high-paying and they're jobs that I think can make a huge difference for not only Schenectady, the whole capital region, and all of New York State.
Do you think that this is going to be a sort of a little bit of a preview of a piece of what the State of the Union will be? Then that's, of course, next Tuesday.
I do. I think the State of the Union is going to be all about jobs. It's going to be this growth agenda. How do we create these jobs in this new economy? What is the future like? I think he'll talk about education, particularly how we focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to prepare our workforce for these jobs. And I think it's going to be a very bright future that he's going to lay out for us.
It's a real proactive approach, is it not? Because really the economy and so far, not the failure per se, but the economy is not recovering at the speed that some people would like it to, and it leaves you weak and a point where the Republicans actually could do some attacking maybe in 2012.
And I think what the American people want, Liz, is exactly what you say. They want us to come together to talk about the economy, to recognize things are not good. I mean, we have had a tough economy for a long time. A lot of families are struggling all across New York, all across the country. And so I think people want a recognition that it's not so easy, that things are difficult, but then have the vision for growth and lay out the plan about how we're going to turn the economy around, how are we going to create good-paying jobs, how are we going to provide for our families once again. And that's what's very exciting, I think, because that's what, frankly, New Yorkers want to hear. That's what I want to hear. And I think the president's going to deliver on that need, and he's going to create and really describe for us his vision of how he sees this growth.
You know, you made some news today, actually. Well, I think it might have even come out while you were in the air from Washington to Albany, this press release that you put out saying that you're going to be actually crossing the aisle at the State of the Union to sit with your Republican colleague, John Thune of South Dakota. Interesting. You say
I'm going to be sitting with John Thune. We're going to have a good time. And he's more than happy to sit with me. A lot of us are just going to sit on the opposite side because, you know, while it's just an image, it's just a symbol, it's a great way to start the new Congress. It's a symbol of change and saying we are going to do things differently. You're not going to see half of the electorate stand up while the other half sits down. Our leaders need to be representative of all of America, and we have to show that we can work together. And so even though it's a little thing, I think it's a great thing, and I think it'll make a difference.
Do you think it's going to be widespread? I mean, this isn't a policy that the whole Senate is adopting. This is something that some of your colleagues are doing. It was a proposal by Colorado Democratic Senator Mark Udall. I mean, is everybody taking him up on this idea?
A lot of us are going to do it. A number of us, I think about 20 different senators have already signed on to say they'll do it. And we have Republicans who have already said they're going to do it. So it's exciting and it's fun. And it's just a symbol. It's a symbol of things that could be in the future, a symbol of what we certainly must be capable of, and it's something that I think represents who we are and what we're going to do going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I know maybe you won't be standing while he's sitting or whatever, but sometimes he's going to be clapping and you won't be, so that'll be interesting. This is all about really...
I'm going to be listening to the president, so I'll probably clap more than he will. So I'll be clapping maybe louder than he will.
This is all about really, in the wake of the Tucson shooting, hitting this reset button and trying to ratchet down the hyperpartisanship that some people said contributed to the atmosphere that allowed Jared Lautner to get caught up in his delusions that made him want to do this terrible shooting. And we have some good news on that front. Of course, you've been all over the place, Congresswoman Giffords. You were there when she opened her eyes, a really amazing moment. And today she is headed to a rehabilitation center where she'll be for quite some time. Have you been in touch with Mark Kelly at all, and what's your response to that?
I put a call into Mark this morning, and I hope to talk to him later today. But Gabby's doing great, and her courage and strength, I believe, is inspiring our whole country. And she is the epitome of what we all should be, someone who she was extremely nonpartisan, represented a very Republican district, somebody who always crossed the aisle, someone who worked on solutions. And she's the kind of person that I think we could all try to live up to. And I think, the president's speech in Arizona was so poignant because he used the life of Christina Green as sort of a reference on all of our nation's children, and that all of us have to live up to the expectations of Christina and all of our country's children, and that our democracy has to be worthy of them. And so I think Gabby's recovery is just, it's going to continue to inspire us all. She's, standing. She's just making great strides. And I know that if anyone can get through it, it's her. I really believe in Gabby. I think she will get there.
Well, Senator Gillibrand, I want to thank you very much for joining us. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you so much for everything, and I'll talk to you soon.
Be well.